let's break down these games tonight. Let's start in the Eastern Conference. You got the Magic, and you got Dan's 76ers here. Philly, really slight favorite. Gosh, these are two tough teams to figure out at this point. But what do you make of this game?
I'll take this time to shout out the show that I do with Rob Vino at about 10:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time called Profit Picks. And I'm doing that because he mentioned this to me yesterday, I believe it was. He said, remember, Skee, when you were talking about Paolo doesn't like the coach? And I was just watching the game and watching them interact on the sidelines. And, we're hearing some more stuff come out about a star player is saying that he's going to demand a trade if the coach is not fired at the end of the season. I see the way the Magic team looked in that last game versus Boston when Boston didn't play anybody. This is not a Magic team that I want to back. On the other side, you're going to have the best player on the court, in my mind, with Tyrese Maxey. And you still got, a solid team, even though Embiid is not out there. So Sixers have been good as home favorites. I think they only lost one game post All-Star. I think they go out there and get the job done today. I think they'll show that they care a lot more than the Magic. The Magic might go out there and just flip the bird to their coach tonight and lay down. I mean, they could play, and, I'm not putting my money on it. That team has been so inconsistent for the back half of the season. They've been a disappointment compared to what we thought they were supposed to be in the beginning of the season, or at least what I thought. I think the Sixers are the right side here. I bet the Sixers.
Yeah, it's tough when you got like when they're just openly can't stand the coach. That's not good going into the playoffs. So I have to agree that's probably the right side, even without Joel Embiid, or maybe not having Embiid is secretly helps Philly a little bit. I'm not in that camp because the guy is a good bucket. But let's move to the Western Conference. Warriors, Kawhi. Dan and I were just talking about that. Kind of the last hurrah here for Steph and Kawhi and LeBron here. Clippers minus 5.5 over under 221.5. What do you make of this game?
Yeah, I don't really trust. I mean, these are two teams I really don't trust, honestly. It's hard for me to get there with either one. My initial thought was the Clippers keep saying, they want to play faster with Garland, but it just hasn't been translated. Like they're bottom 10 in pace over, post All-Star. And if you look at the last 10 games, I mean, they're still in the bottom half. The Warriors are not really playing with pace either. I worry about Steph if he's still going to have a minutes limited in this game. When I'm looking at all of those things, yes, neither team has been really great defensively this year, but in a situation like this, elimination game, you're going to get the best effort on that side. And if they're playing slow, all the other things that I mentioned, I would probably go under in this game if I'm betting it.
Just tough games. Tough games tonight when you got some of the variables. I would say Philly is probably my favorite my favorite side or total in this one. So any other takes about do you have any futures that you're liking so far?
I haven't actually put them in yet, but my thought process, I'll share with you guys. I think that OKC's path is, is clear and it's easy. The price you're getting to take OKC right now, it will not be there by the time it's Western Conference Finals versus whoever they face. So I think, it's worth the wager. And when it gets to Western Conference Finals, you can figure out what you want to do with that then. On another note, the Spurs and the Nuggets are going to have to face each other in the second round if they both advance. So one of those getting taken out, that's also good for that first bet that I mentioned. But as good as the Spurs have been, the Nuggets have been their kryptonite. I mean, I know they lost the last three versus the Nuggets, and we know how experienced the Nuggets are. They're healthy. They absolutely can win the West. So Nuggets have a really good price. Those are I'm trying to decide which route I want to take. So the West, that's kind of how I feel. The East, honestly, I have a ticket in my pocket already from preseason, and I don't feel like it's great. It's the Knicks plus three something to win the East. The talent on the roster, I thought they really have a chance, and they could, but who I see playing the best basketball, who I think actually is going to come out, it would have to be the Celtics. I mean, healthy, playing really good. They're going to have home court for the most part. I don't think I can trust the Pistons because as much as I love Cade Cunningham, he just came back from that lung injury. You never know how that's going to bother him. And it's still a team full of not so experienced players in the playoffs. So could take a little bit of growing pains, similar to what we saw for OKC before they actually, make some real noise. So that's how I'm feeling about it right now, at least. I'll make my decisions pretty soon.
All right. Well, Blocked was wanting to get your take on the series prices,
Yep.
and man, are they as chalky as it gets. Cleveland minus
Usually are.
550. Yeah. Cleveland minus 550 against the Raptors, Nuggets minus 350 against the Wolves, Knicks minus 275 against the Hawks, Rockets minus 600 against your Lakers, and the Spurs minus 2,000 against the Blazers. I mean, do we see any upsets here?
If I had to pick one, I mean, I just said I don't feel great about the ticket I have in my pocket, right? I mean, yes, the Knicks can absolutely win. When I look at the roster, they have the better talent than Atlanta, but Atlanta has been playing the better basketball. And really ever since the All-Star break. They have a really deep team now, and they're playing good together. So I wouldn't want to count them out. I think the price for the Knicks is too pricey. It should be less expensive. So I think the value lies on Atlanta if I'm picking one dog there.
I think it's interesting that the Nuggets are only minus 350 against Minnesota. It feels like
Yeah.
okay, you're title contender, but you're only minus 350 against this Timberwolves team that's kind of getting healthy. I guess it makes sense, but I don't know. I thought that was a little bit of a head scratcher.
I could be
On the
mistaken,
Nuggets
but
there.
didn't the Timberwolves push the Nuggets to a 7-game series recently? I mean,
They just play him well. Like
yeah.
Ant is a nightmare for them to guard because they really don't have that perimeter defender. You know, it's not Murray, it's not Braun, it's certainly not Cam Thomas. So he can get inside, and then it's just, you know, Aaron Gordon and Jokic trying to deal with him. So yeah, they got some real matchup problems there. So
What are your thoughts on this? The Cavaliers, I mean, I'm not high on James Harden. I never have been. And, he's not really performed the best in the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell hasn't either. Now they have each other. And the side that they're on, as far as the bracket for the playoffs, I don't think they have to see the Knicks or the Celtics until the finals. They could absolutely make it. What do you think about their price? I'm not sure what their price is either. Or what do you think about them?
I was high on Cleveland to begin the year. I actually think Harden fits in well with this team because they don't need him to do everything. I think this has been kind of a good spot for him because he doesn't have to be the guy that scores 30. That can be Donovan Mitchell. He can be a guy that can hit some big shots. Or, oh, you need me to be assist Harden? I can do that tonight. Oh, you need me to drain 4 threes? I can be that Harden tonight. So I think weirdly it kind of works just for this series. And I am not high on Toronto at all in the slightest. I'm looking at this Cavaliers minus 1.5 at minus 210. Maybe just play it like that, maybe a parlay piece. But don't forget, at the beginning of the year, they openly said we are not taking the regular season as serious as we did last season. We were tired, we were injured, and it is all about the playoffs. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got a little bit extra in the tank because that was what they said they were going to do at the beginning of the season. And I may go down with the ship, but I like this Cavaliers team. I think they roll Toronto.
They could be worth that futures bet. That's all I'm saying. By the time they get there, you can figure out what to do with it later. But facing the Raptors and then facing, probably the Pistons, who, don't have a whole lot of experience like we talked about, Cavs could be the value play on the East.
Yeah, Pistons are 1 year away. They just don't quite. Duran's awesome. Cade is awesome. But then it's like, you're depending on Duncan Robinson and, like it's just, So, well, Skee, thank you for jumping on. Tell everyone what you have up today.
Yeah, I did give you the one play that I bet so far, but Rob Vino and myself are going to talk about the games again in about an hour on Profit Picks. We'll see if I can find some more. As far as plays I have up, I did make a 5% play in the playoffs for this weekend. So if you want to get a head start, it is up and available at WagerTalk.com. And a reminder, including the one win yesterday, going back to 2023, we're now plus 148 units in the playoffs. So it's a time of year where I usually do my best work. If you'd like to be involved, there's a lot of ways you can do so.
Skee's like the opposite of James Harden. Like he does his best work in the playoffs.
Great point.
I'll take that. I appreciate that.
Tell everyone about your show with Rob.
Yeah, I mean, 10:45, so about an hour and 20 minutes. If you want to hear, pretty like yesterday, we spent 18 to 20 minutes talking about the 2 games, and we talked about them from a lot of different angles. So if you want help with your handicap, if you want to feel, know how we're thinking more about the games, it's a good place to come get some info for your NBA action.